Hi everyone, this is Debbie. Welcome to the Sane Progressive, the YouTube video series that seeks to inject some sanity into modern American political dialogue. Okay, housekeeping. I'm going to be tweeting the debate live. I hate watching the debates. However, I'm really interested to see tonight the specific rhetoric that is going to be used around Syria and their justification for another illegal war. There's some really disturbing events going on with Russia and the United States right now that are not getting the substantive coverage that they really deserve and really should be a centerpiece of what is being talked about right now in the election coverage. Tulsi Gabbard is trying to get 2 questions asked tonight during the debate. She's been sending emails out, and it's been on her Twitter account, I saw, where she's trying to get the moderator to ask, would going into Syria, creating a no-fly zone in Syria, which basically equates to going to war, full-out war. We're already in an air war with Syria. So she's trying to ask, would it be worth risking conflict with Russia? And then she has another question. I think it's about the candidates' approach to a no-fly zone, which they have renamed no-fly zones humanitarian zones. You want to get any more Orwell than that? Humanitarian zones? Safe zones and humanitarian zones. Remember when I played you that video last week, when they were having that discussion about going into war with Syria, talking about a no-fly zone. And the two are the same thing, because one will lead to the other. They were talking about how they needed to come up with a more palatable term in that committee. And the term that they have come up with that apparently the focus groups like is the humanitarian zone. This is what they said. I've played this to you before, but let's listen to this clip. This is what it means to have a humanitarian zone or a no-fly zone.
Syria. What about the option of controlling the airspace so that barrel bombs cannot be dropped?
Well, all the options.
What do you think of that option, sir?
Right now, Senator, for us to control all of the airspace in Syria would require us to go to war against Syria and Russia.
Okay, so that's what we're dealing with. And this is a position and a policy that Hillary Clinton is advocating for. She just came out, according to Reuters, that it is her first priority in Syria to implement regime change. Because it was a mistake, as she said. Remember, it was a mistake with Saddam Hussein. It was a mistake. She learned from her mistake. She learned from it so well that she implemented the regime change. She was the leader of it in Libya, which Barack Obama has called that regime change and what happened in Libya the biggest mistake of his presidency. And so there she is again, and now she wants to do it with Assad. And we're talking about Donald Trump and his vulgar locker room juvenile boy boasting. And this is what we're dealing with. So let's... Right now, there's so much stuff ramping up between Russia and the United States. U.S. accuses Russia, Syria of war crimes. France seeks UN vote. This is from October 7th. This is from Friday. It's pretty rich for the United States, who has dropped 20,000 bombs on Syria since January, to be talking about committing war crimes in Syria. We have killed civilians on numerous occasions. The UN and human rights organizations have various members of the UN and human rights groups and organizations have talked about our need to stop the bombing campaign. Oh no. We can bomb endlessly. We can bomb endlessly in the Middle East. That's not a problem. So, all of this, when you hear all of this, it's because they want to go in. They want to seize control. This is about territory. This is about wanting being able to develop a pipeline. This is wanting to have geographical control. This has nothing to do with the children of Aleppo. It has nothing to do with that. And but in the debate tonight, I'm sure Hillary Clinton will be trying to sell her deep, deep concern for the children of Aleppo as she advocates for regime change and a no-fly zone, which we just heard the Joint Chiefs of Staff chair say will put us into war with Russia and Syria. And there is a WikiLeaks. Let me see if I can. There's a WikiLeaks that just came out, and one of her transcripts. Let me see if I can get the specific. This is worth just waiting a second for. I thought I had the page open. Hold on just a second. I want to be sure I speak correctly on this. Okay. Because we're so concerned, right, about Syrians and human rights violation. Well, one of the WikiLeaks, and this was just put up in a tweet, and I would recommend you follow the Twitter account on the WikiLeaks site if you want to get updates on what is actually in the contents of the emails and don't feel like going through all of them, because there are thousands. And this is just, I think, 2% of what is going to be released from the Podesta leak alone. But listen to this, okay? 2 hours ago, WikiLeaks, this is their official page on Twitter. Syria no-fly zone would mean killing a lot of Syrians, Hillary Clinton said in one of her leaked speeches. Killing a lot of Syrians because we care about Syrian children being killed. It's so sick what we're doing. It's so friggin' sick. This is happening all over again. This is our playbook. This is what we do. We've been doing this for decades. That's why I say there is no excuse to be tolerating this any longer. We know that our country goes to war on lies. We know that they fabricate evidence. And we know that these wars do not make us safer, and they cause complete devastation, misery for the people that we inflict massacres and murder on. And this should be really the leading thing in the debate. I know I've been talking a lot about it, but when you think about the consequences of what this is, the consequences of our going to war in Iraq is we murdered 1 million people on lies at a time when it was entirely possible to know that the evidence was being fabricated. 1 million people. Can you imagine if another country killed 1 million people here? Can you imagine 1 million people in America being killed and millions more being turned into refugees? Can you imagine that? And someone who keeps advocating for that exact same policy that kills women and children on lies, we have made that so normalized that we will be furious because Donald Trump will say that he can grab a woman's pussy if he wants, but we will think it's normal. We're so messed up and so brainwashed with thinking war is normal that we think that somebody who's willing to commit murder, mass murder on lies, is better on women and children, somebody who will kill them. Do you know how sick that is? Do you know how broken a culture we are that this is what we accept as normal? When I say that, it's not defending vile words from Donald Trump, but if you look at it in the context of the consequences and the reality and the suffering it's caused, It's not even comparable. It's not even comparable. But we're okay with that. I've seen people on social media calling Donald Trump a monster. What is that when you advocate endlessly killing people on lies and wanting to do it again? And right now she is playing chicken with Russia. The reason the United States, these war hawks, these for-profit fossil fuel companies and manufacturers of war for profit are so interested in going into Syria is that what's happening is that you have Russia and Syria have an alliance. Russia has been invited into Syria by the legitimately elected leader of that country. Okay? They have been invited in, and they are trying to get out terrorists that we helped manufacture and arm. Our wars of choice created the existence of the people that are in there. People don't understand that. We manufactured ISIS through these wars of choice on lies. And then we armed them by just dealing arms in these regions, and they're now in the hands of all these people. The Peace Council who has gone over there says we shouldn't be there. We need to withdraw. We need to close the borders with Turkey. We know what we need to do. And they're going to sell war tonight in that debate. They're going to sell war. WikiLeaks, Syria, no-fly zone, humanitarian zone, safe zone, would mean killing a lot of Syrians, murdering a lot of Syrians in a leaked speech. And there is so much that is substantively important in these WikiLeaks, and the media is covering none of it. There is a few alternative reporters, and there's a few people picking up on it, but it's mostly all Donald Trump all the time. David Sirota, somebody else I would recommend that you follow.
If you're searching for something to finally relieve your...
Hillary Clinton expresses support for fracking in WikiLeaks document. Remember during the primary when she was all green and climate champion, and she chastised Donald Trump? Remember that? She wagged her finger at him because she was a climate champion and he didn't believe that climate change is real. You want to hear what Hillary Clinton had to say? Because we also got in the WikiLeaks of her leaked private speeches that it's important to have a public position and a private position. You know, the public position being the one where you blow the smoke up the ass of the people that you're manipulating and screwing over, and the private position is how you actually govern for your donors. So we have, listen to this. In one excerpt of a speech to Deutsche Bank in April 2013, not so very long ago, according to the document, Clinton boasted about the federal government's support for fracking and her own work to promote the process across the globe. I've done numerous videos on how Hillary Clinton sold fracking to the globe, and I say again and again, what's better, to have ignorance on climate change or hypocrisy on climate change? Because you get the same policy either way. Quote, fracking was developed at the Department of Energy. The document shows Clinton saying, I mean, the whole idea of fracking came to be available in the marketplace is because of research done by our government. Yay! The United States government developing dirty energy technology that destroys and contaminates drinking water. Yay, U.S.! I mean, the whole idea of how fracking came to be available in the marketplace is because of our research done by our government. And I've promoted fracking in other places around the world. This gets worse. The ability to extract both gas and oil from previously used places that didn't seem to have much more to offer, but now the technology gives us the chance to go in and recover oil and gas. This is where it gets important. Or, with the new technology known as fracking, we are truly on a path. And it's not just the United States, it's all of North America that will be net energy exporters, assuming we do it right. Let me say that again. Net energy exporters. So when they feed you that bullshit that we want to do this because we want to have our energy independence, we're not drilling to make cheap energy here. We shouldn't be doing it even if it makes the energy free because it'll destroy our planet. We are building these pipelines so that the fossil fuel companies can rip up our land, contaminate our water, and sell that energy overseas. The Trans-Pacific Partnership, which Hillary Clinton shilled for in this, and she shilled for as Secretary of State since 2009, one of the provisions in the TPP is expediting the export of fracked gas, especially to Japan. And we try to pretend that the Democrats care about clean energy. They don't. It's all here. What this WikiLeaks totally reveals, and most of us already knew this anyways, but beyond a shadow of a doubt, is that the Democrats are vested in manipulating you. They are vested in implementing the exact same policies that you would oppose in Republicans, the exact same policies that you oppose in Republicans, but putting it in a way that they can manipulate you and make you support it. Policies that people would rage against in Republicans will be accepted under a Democrat. That is why Hillary Clinton, I'll say it again, is the more effective evil. They need somebody who the American people will fight to defend. You see all these people on social media today, and they are fighting to defend this woman that spent an entire year lying her ass off to them, manipulating them, basically coming out and saying, I lie to them in public, but as long as they'll feel good about it, we can keep screwing them over really hard right up the ass and they'll take it. How much longer are Democrats, because there's some good people I see out there, how much longer are you going to allow yourself to be played for a total fool and support somebody who is doing the exact same thing that you don't want the Republicans to do? It's done, guys. We have no government. We don't have any representation in Clinton or the Republicans, and it's not Donald Trump you need to be scared of. I reported on this earlier. You guys crack me up. I go on one of my angry rants and it goes viral. I swear that my most well-researched calm videos, I can't get 3,000 people. I start yelling at the camera, I get 30,000 in 10 minutes. You're too funny. All right. I said this earlier, but it bears repeating. It bears repeating for the people who don't get it, for the people who do not get it. Trump was invented to scare you, to be a boogeyman, to fearmonger you into supporting something so loathsome and dishonest and vile and goes against everything that you say that you care about in policy, and drive you to support that because you're afraid of something worse. And that was a deliberate plan manufactured by the Clintons to manipulate and blackmail you. They brought you candidate Donald Trump. They brought him to you to scare you, to manipulate you, to play you for total and complete fools. That is what the Clintons think of you, as you defend them and bash Trump. Trump is not real. I've said this to you a million times. I said this to you a year ago. The media does not invest top fundraising lobbyist in Hillary Clinton's campaign. CNN, owned by Time Warner. MSNBC, owned by Comcast. They had top fundraisers within her campaign to fundraise her. And then they were manufacturing Trump by giving him $2 billion worth of free coverage so that he would be elevated and that they could scare you with him. If you look at the way the coverage has gone, and that there's been reports on this today. They say it in the media. We built him up to tear him down. That's what they're doing, and we have the proof of it. One of the WikiLeaks that came out. 2 months before Donald Trump announced his presidential run. Operationalizing the strategy. Okay, this is a leaked document from John, the sleazeball lobbyist of all lobbyists in Washington, Podesta. The fact that she has John Podesta, who founded the lobbying group to some of the sleaziest corporations in Washington, should be about a red alert for you around Hillary Clinton. I can't even say it. It's like a tongue twister. I can't say it. Operationalizing the strategy. I can't say it. The strategy. There are 2 ways to approach the strategies mentioned above. The first is to use the field as a whole to inflict damage on itself, similar to what happened to Mitt Romney in 2012. The variety of candidates is a positive here, and many of the lesser known can serve as a cudgel to move the more established candidates further to the right. In this scenario, we don't want to marginalize the extreme candidates. No. But we want to make them the Pied Piper candidates who actually represent the mainstream of the Republican Party. Pied Piper candidates include Ted Cruz, Donald Trump, Ben Carson. The ones that they wanted to get in to run against. The ones that they wanted to get in to run against. So that they could run against them and fearmonger to you with them. So listen to this. Listen to this. We need to be elevating the Pied Piper candidates so that they are leaders of the pack, and tell the press to take them seriously. Tell the press to take them seriously. And if you read the WikiLeaks, one of the things you see consistently is they plant stories in the press left and right. They talk about journalists who are favorable to them, who will tee up stories. So this is the campaign feeding the corporate media directly with what they want to manipulate you with. Play you for a total fool. Blackmail you with. Do you want to keep being treated like this? Do you like being beat up and belittled and disrespected this way? And you think Donald Trump's awful. These people orchestrated Donald Trump so that they could use him as a weapon against you. And you're afraid of Donald Trump? What about the person who pulls out Donald Trump as a weapon against the American people? Are you kidding me? Really? Tell the press them seriously. And Donald Trump, ding, 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 we have a winner. And I said this in my video earlier, and you can look this up on the Washington Post. Bill Clinton called Donald Trump before he made the decision to run for the presidency and highly encouraged him to become more involved and to play a larger role in Republican politics precisely at the same time he was making the decision to run for the presidency at the same time. And he encouraged Donald Trump. So you have the Hillary Clinton campaign making a strategy to utilize Donald Trump. You have Bill Clinton encouraging him, saying he needs to play a larger role in Republican politics. And we have the corporate media, which we have email after email after email after email in the WikiLeaks here, colluding with Hillary Clinton. This was a whole thing to game the American people. And they've played everyone for fools. And but none of this is being, of course, represented in the press or presented rather in the press, because they're part of the game, because the corporate media owners are investing in Clinton because they have policy that they want to get through, media consolidation policies that give them for control profit motives that they're investing with Hillary Clinton in. And Hillary Clinton is the candidate. If you look at Hillary Clinton's endorsement list, if you go to Washington Post, she's got the entire Bush cabal. She's got some of the most frightening people with the most frightening histories of the CIA, the NSA, and Homeland Security. Another story that came out, and this one is, let me pull this one out specifically. I have so many windows open because there's so many, let's see if I can let me go to WikiLeaks directly, because this is another one that I want to get right. All right. If WikiLeaks has numerous pages on Twitter. It's not just WikiLeaks. There is WikiLeaks, and there's a WikiLeaks citizen WikiLeaks task force, which is a citizen task force for people to be part of WikiLeaks, to be going through the emails, working through reporting stories in the media that we need to correct on the disinformation they put up around WikiLeaks. Where is this one? Here it is. This one was 1 hour ago, and you can go to WikiLeaks Task Force, and I would highly encourage you to follow both of these on Twitter, because it's really, if you are wanting to follow the Hillary Clinton emails that are being released by WikiLeaks, they put them out on Twitter. It's the best place to get access for them first. And additionally, they put out individual emails that are important, and they've been putting them out one by one. Clinton accused environmental groups of being Russian influenced. Environmental groups. And you know who she's accused? You know this big thing that everybody's, the red baiting, the neo-McCarthyism that the Democratic Party has resurrected to try to make Russian be the big bad guy. The unsubstantiated, unproven source that the Democratic operatives are lying about, so that they make it about the source, the unproven source, rather than the content. Well, apparently Russian influence agencies, these include The Intercept with Glenn Greenwald, Jill Stein, and WikiLeaks. Jill Stein and environmental groups, anti-fracking groups, you see, are Russian operative agents. So when they're bringing up Russia, this is something they bring up with everything. Russia is the boogeyman they have invented, and they use Russia so much they've become a farce of themselves with it. They've become a parody. But unfortunately, it's not, it can't be funny, because they are now courting a very dangerous situation in Syria, as I started off. And there's a lot going on. 40 million Russians to take part in nuclear disaster drill days after U.S. general warns of war with Moscow. That came out on October 4th. A lot of this is being reported in the European press, but we don't have an actual media. We have the Ministry of Truth, disinformation. So this is what we get. Another development that you guys should be aware of. Saturday, October 8th.
Finally relieve your pain. Now's the time for life.
Saturday, October 8th, 2016. Russia moves nuclear-capable missiles into Kaliningrad. Russia has moved nuclear-capable Iskander-M missiles into the Kaliningrad enclave bordering Poland and with Lithuania, the defense ministry said on Saturday, adding it was part of routine drills. The missile units have been deployed more than once, but it is a troubling and potentially provocative move given the tensions in Syria and the U.S., the falling apart of the negotiations. And Russia has said that if the U.S. starts shooting down planes or starts trying to enforce a no-fly zone in Syria, Russia's going to shoot back. And if you have Russia saying they've got the arsenal on the ground. If the planes come in, Russia's going to shoot them down. That's why the Joint Chiefs of Staff said we can't do a no-fly zone without going to war with Russia, because what's going to happen if we start if we decide to implement that and the planes start getting shot down? And there are other forces in the region, China, Iran, we got Russia. You start getting all of those players in, this could topple. And it could spread into a much wider conflict. And it could go into World War III. And I'm not saying that to be dramatic or scare anybody. This is the situation. There is a lot of tension here. And what is this lunatic of Hillary Clinton doing? Is she trying to de-escalate it? Is she trying to do a foreign policy that actually will stabilize the Middle East and stop doing what is making things more unstable and keeps creating all these fractionalized terrorist groups all over the Middle East and all these refugees and all these terrorized, traumatized people, the ones who survive, not to mention the ones we massacre and kill? No, she's not trying to do that. She wants to go in. They want to go in and get their resources. They want to steal their oil. All they can think of is getting the pipeline. That's what we're doing right now. That's what we're doing right now. It's horrifying what we're doing right now. It's dangerous. And all the corporate media is talking about, shame on you all so hard. Shame on you all so hard. Is talking about Donald Trump and his lewd comments around women. Hillary Clinton is going to be installed. It wasn't Russia that hacked the state voter databases in Arizona. Arizona, where there were tens of thousands of Bernie Sanders voters who were purged off the rolls, had their registration changed and were eligible to participate in the Democratic primary. In Illinois, where we had the micro audits, it wasn't, they say their voter databases were hacked. Were they? Because when we had micro audits in Illinois since Chicago, the double-digit wins for Hillary Clinton in that precinct flipped to double-digit wins for Bernie Sanders. We saw in California that Trust Vote polls, their independent polling, when they actually polled more people, and you can go to trustvote.org, they actually polled more people in California than the samplings that they take for, the regular exit polling organizations did. Bernie Sanders won double-digit margins with those exit polls, or really high single-digit margins. But Hillary Clinton won those precincts double digits. We got Bob Fitrakis also, who's been on my show, I'll try to get this link in the site. He's trying to get the real raw data for the exit polls, because we had 12 of the 26 states in the Democratic primary where the exit polls didn't match the official Democratic primary results, usually in double-digit numbers. But they're saying that Russia might have hacked in. No, it wasn't Russia. It was Hillary Clinton operatives. Because and people have said, well, it's the Republicans, right? The Republicans are the ones who fix elections. Hillary Clinton is the Republicans. Karl Rove is an ally of Hillary Clinton. The entire Bush cabal is an ally of Hillary Clinton. She is the Republican in this race. And it's not about party anymore. I've said this, and I'll end with this. It's not about left versus right, Democrat versus Republican. It is about the corporate state and the military-industrial complex versus the people. And Hillary Clinton is their girl in this race. And that is why you have the Department of Homeland Security putting two people embroiled in election fraud lawsuits: Alex Padilla, who is the Secretary of State in California, and Brian Kemp, who's a Democrat in Georgia, the co-chairs of the new Department of Homeland Security Election Cybersecurity Group. Let's put two secretaries of state who have had numerous lawsuits filed against them in election fraud and are embroiled in scandal because it looks like the primaries were fraudulent. Let's put them in head of cybersecurity. People who have absolutely no qualifications on cybersecurity, no qualifications on encryption, no qualifications on computers. What do they have in common? Well, they're secretaries of states that have been involved in questionable practices that manipulate vote outcomes as Secretary of State. So that's what you want. That's who you want to appoint. That's who you want to appoint to protect your elections. And they're being appointed because it's not about protecting the election. It's about ensuring that they have people in there when they install Hillary Clinton so that they can contain the situation so that all of it doesn't leak out and expose their game once and for all. Because we're getting very close. They had to cheat really, really hard. Richard Sharnon, who has been on my show numerous times, there's been studies from Stanford University, there's been studies from the students, and they're showing that Bernie Sanders won this primary in double-digit numbers. So rest assured, everybody, if Bernie Sanders, who actually won this primary and had more votes than Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, couldn't take his rightful place as the leader of this country, Donald Trump isn't going to get in there. They don't want anything to do with Donald Trump because they need that effective evil. They need someone where people will defend. I'm going to fight for the person who's screwing me over and making my life miserable and treating me in the most disrespectful ways and manipulating and creating boogeymans with Donald Trump to fearmonger me. I'm going to fight for that person. Yeah. So the debate tonight should be a hoot. It should be a hoot and a half. So, we're through the looking glass. It's Mad Hatter Tea Party time. So, So I guess I would end and say there is no place that's going to be good. Where we go now is that the election game's over. We've lost it. The election game's over. We're going to have to fight in some way, protesting, getting involved, going to the streets to try to take this back. But we're not going to vote them in or out. So when I'm saying this, it's not like I can... the only thing that we could do, if we actually were people of principle, is nobody would vote for Hillary Clinton. Nobody would give any money to Hillary Clinton. Nobody would defend Hillary Clinton. The day that everybody realizes that Hillary Clinton is equally as reprehensible, actually more reprehensible because she's actually real and Donald Trump is just a puppet boogeyman to scare you. The day that the American people finally realize that she is just as unacceptable of a choice and these Democrats who are screwing you over are just as unacceptable of choice as the Republicans is the day that the country is finally free to create a solution. I don't know exactly what that solution will look like. I don't know exactly where we will go with it, but it will open the door for us to create that solution. And different actions will follow because it will not be people giving up their support and vesting in a delusion. So, and I really wrestled with keeping that video up because I don't like getting that angry and I want to be effective in the way I talk. But I do think that the only reason I did keep my earlier video up being so is because sometimes it's like in that Scrooge video. It's my favorite Christmas movie. And it's with Bill Murray. And you know Carol Kane, when she comes in and she's got like the pink dress and she's flying around, she says, sometimes you have to slap them in the face. But it's made your cheeks all rosy and your eyes are as bright as stars. So that's what I'm hoping. It's a slap of love, everybody. It's a slap of love. Okay, I will be live tweeting the debate in an hour. You can find me at Sane Pregressive on Twitter, and as always, subscribe on YouTube. I'm trying to archive these videos over on YouTube in case they take me down, because they don't like people who shine that light of truth on them. All right, everyone. Should be a really, really interesting evening. As always, this is Debbie, the Sane Progressive. You guys stay sane. Peace out, everybody.